All right, today we're jumping into a really epic story from the Quran. It's about a legendary, incredibly powerful ancient nation known as the people of Ad, a civilization whose strength was, well, supposedly unmatched by anyone on Earth.
Just let that sink in for a second. This line from the Quran really sets the stage. We're not just talking about a strong nation here. We're talking about a people who were considered totally unique in all of history because of their sheer physical power and the amazing things they built.
So, who were these people, the people of Ad, and what did their world actually look like? In this first part, we're going to look at the magnificent civilization they built, all centered around their legendary capital city. Okay, so we're talking about going way, way back, roughly 4,000 years ago, on the Arabian Peninsula. The people of Ad came to power in the era after the Great Flood. But here's the crazy part. Their story, their city, was almost lost forever, basically becoming a myth. Until, get this, 1984, when a space shuttle actually located the ruins. How wild is that?
Their capital city, Iram, was the stuff of legends. It was called Iram of the Pillars for a reason. Just imagine a city filled with these massive, towering columns and unbelievable buildings. It was apparently so magnificent that people called it the man-made paradise on Earth. That gives you a sense of their skill.
So let's just recap what they had going for them. Physically, they were the strongest people on the planet, period. They were also incredibly wealthy, totally prosperous. And they lived in this amazing green paradise with gardens and rivers everywhere. But, and this is a huge but, despite having everything you could possibly want, they were the very first civilization to turn to idol worship after the time of Noah. And, as these stories often go, with all that power came a whole lot of arrogance. And that arrogance is what prompted a divine warning, which came from one of their very own people. God sent a prophet from among them, a man named Hud. And his message was really straightforward, super simple. He was basically saying, hey, my brothers, let's worship the one true God who gave us all this amazing stuff in the first place. But their reaction? Wow! They were just completely blinded by their own pride. They didn't just disagree with Hud, they insulted him, flat out calling him a fool and a liar. In their minds, their power made them completely untouchable. And this slide right here, it just perfectly sums up the entire conflict. On one side, you've got the people of Ad, whose faith was completely in their own physical might. They'd literally ask, who is mightier in strength than us? And on the other side, you have Prophet Hud just begging them to remember where all those blessings came from and to fear the consequences of forgetting. So, as a first warning, the story says that God simply stopped the rain for 3 whole years. Can you imagine their green paradise just drying up, turning to dust? All their strength couldn't make a single cloud appear? So how did they respond to this huge crisis?
All right, this next part is a massive turning point in the story. Instead of thinking, maybe that prophet Hud had a point, and turning to the one God, they decided to just double down on their old ways. And that one decision, well, it would seal their fate.
So they get a group of 70 leaders together, and they travel all the way to Mecca to pray for rain. And while they're there, they're given a choice of 3 clouds, one white, one red, and one black. Their leader chooses the black one. It kind of makes sense, right? A dark, heavy-looking cloud must be packed with the most water. It seemed like the most powerful choice.
But here's the crushing irony. The very thing they picked to save themselves using their own worldly logic was actually destined to be their end. And a voice from the heavens makes it crystal clear what they've just done.
And that fateful choice, well, it kicks off the climax of this entire story. This is the moment where all that hope and excitement turns into absolute horror. And it happens in an instant.
Back in their homeland, the rest of the people see this massive black cloud rolling towards them, and they are ecstatic. They start celebrating, shouting that their prayers have been answered, that their suffering is finally over.
And then, the terrifying truth is revealed. This isn't a rain cloud. This is the very punishment they had arrogantly challenged their prophet to bring upon them. It was a wind, a painful, devastating, furious wind. And this wasn't just some quick storm. We are talking about 7 nights and 8 straight days of this destructive wind just tearing through their land. It was relentless, non-stop, and there was nowhere to hide. The destruction was absolute.
It ripped people from the ground, leveled their magnificent city of pillars. I mean, when it was all over, the entire civilization of Ad was just gone, wiped off the face of the earth. The only people saved were Prophet Hud and the small handful of believers who had listened to his message.
So this isn't just an ancient tale of destruction. It's told in the Quran as a profound lesson. So why is this story so important? Let's break down the timeless moral at its core.
When you really boil it all down, the story of Ad is a powerful cautionary tale. It argues that earthly strength, material success, all of that, it's a pretty fragile foundation if it's not built on humility, gratitude, and faith in something bigger than yourself.
And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? This ancient story challenges us to reflect on our own lives, on our own societies today. It asks us to consider, what do we place our ultimate trust in? Is it our own strength and achievements, or is it something greater? It's a question about power, pride, and perspective that still echoes through the ages.